This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by Greenworks Consults, a company run by longtime listener to the show, Jason, who's an expert when it comes to helping businesses get better at doing business. Learn more about what Greenworks Consults is up to and how they can help you make more money over at greenworksconsults.com, with works spelled W-O-R-X. That's greenworksconsults.com. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Wednesday, March 4th, 2020, and you're tuned in to episode 897 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. We lead off the day with a story by Max Cherney over at Market Watch, picking up on a subpoena recently issued by a U.S. Attorney's Office out of the Eastern District of California, calling for marijuana delivery and listing site Weed Maps to turn over a number of documents concerning its business operations, particularly those having to do with its online ordering system. A spokesperson for the Office of U.S. Attorney McGregor Scott declined to comment on the matter, as did Weed Maps, so we'll just have to wait to see how this all plays out. But given that Weed Maps has a long history of facilitating deliveries for the less than fully licensed market, this one could turn into something bigger. Max's story is a good one and looks at some of the other companies wrapped up here, including Terra Tech Corporation, now known as the Onyx Group Holdings, as well as the distribution company Canacraft. Give this one a read. Maine grabs our second spot on the day with an unfortunate headline about a new 3-month delay to the opening of the state's new legal adult use sales program. Maine voters passed adult use legalization back in 2016 via ballot measure, but thanks to delays created by our horrible former Republican Governor Paul LePage, it's taken 4 years to get adult use sales off the ground. And it was expected that dispensaries would start opening up this month. But as the Portland Press Herald first reported, it looks like that timetable is being kicked down the road by a few months, with June now the anticipated time for adult use sales to start. Right now, there are just under 200 adult use applications into the state, with 80 processed enough to be ready for a regulatory review. But there's a giant bottleneck in the testing side of things, as there's just one lab that's close to being approved and a handful of others considering the market. Our final top story in the day swings us out to Hawaii, where state lawmakers in the Senate just passed legislation that changes low-level marijuana possession from a felony to a misdemeanor. As Kyle Yeager over Marijuana Moment points out, you can still be thrown in jail for misdemeanor crimes in Hawaii, so this isn't exactly a proper decriminalization bill, but it would certainly take some of the sting out of being busted for cannabis possession charges in Hawaii. The bill, SB 2793, now heads over to the House for consideration there. You can open up Kyle's piece on this for the full dive in and for some background on overall reform efforts in the state. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out in headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, Greenworks Consult, which is run by longtime listener to the show, Jason, who's an expert when it comes to helping businesses get better at doing business. Jason and his team at Greenworks Consults, with Works spelled W-O-R-X, can help you do everything from implementing new business strategies to setting up ultra-efficient work processes. By tuning up and dialing in your business operation, you'll cut costly waste and realize more money in your bank account at the end of every month. And who doesn't like that? Jason and his team are masters at developing standard operating procedures, systems of metrics, Lean, Six Sigma, and business process management. Swing over to Greenworks Consults, again with Works spelled W-O-R-X, and get in touch with the Greenworks team to get started on your path to better business. That's greenworksconsults.com. All right, time for the blitz. John Schroyer and Eli McVeigh over at Marijuana Business Daily have a good chart of the week showing the comparison between California, Washington, Oregon, and Colorado in terms of per capita sales for adult use retail during their second year of operations. As their chart has it, California dispensaries underperformed their peers in other states by quite a bit, as they saw just $70 per capita in sales versus $99 for Colorado, $97 for Oregon, and $89 for Washington. That dip in per capita sales left a lot of potential money on the table, as the state would have pulled in $3.9 billion in sales if it had a per capita of $98 versus the $2.8 billion it actually hit. I'd add this one to your list of stories to read in full today. Picking back up on a storyline we've touched on recently, the United Nations Commissions on Narcotics Drugs is expected to delay a vote scheduled for this week on a list of recommendations for descheduling marijuana made by the World Health Organization. Regular listeners should remember the recent story involving International Narcotics Control Board President Cornelius P. DeJonchier and his asking the question of whether current marijuana international drug laws are out of date. Word on the United Nations streets is that the Commissions on Narcotics Drugs will instead vote on the idea of descheduling marijuana in December to give member nations time to better ponder the issue's particulars. Marijuana Business Daily has more here if you need it. Leafly takes a useful look at New York State's legal marijuana market with an eye on why it's so expensive for the state's 100,000 or so registered patients to buy medical marijuana products. In short, as you might not be too surprised to hear, it mostly comes down to an overall shortage of supply created by a thoroughly licensed and regulated medical marijuana program built around just 37 dispensaries operated by 10 companies. The state of Missouri will see its first medical marijuana dispensaries open up by this summertime, and as the Associated Press first reported, the state already has more than 35,000 registered patients waiting. Missouri voters passed legal medical marijuana back in 2018, and currently the state has 60 licensed cultivators, 86 processors, and 192 dispensaries, all working on the final stages of getting open. A good storyline to have on your general industry radar. We have a familiar story in Illinois as some of the state's dispensaries located near the border with neighboring states are reporting strong business from out-of-state buyers. At the same time, though, some shops are warning customers about the dangers of crossing state borders with marijuana, going as far as to make them sign releases acknowledging the illegality of doing so. This one has lessons for lots of states, so maybe not a bad one to add to your list to read today. The ongoing global coronavirus outbreak has activists in Washington, D.C. concerned about the threat of spreading the illness through the practice of collecting signatures of support for a ballot measure decriminalizing psychedelic drugs. So they've asked D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser to allow signatures to be signed online. Special legislation would need to be filed to allow that, so we'll just have to keep an eye to see if this develops further. Also, wash your hands. Our final story of the day brings us up to Canada, where for some reason an 8-year-old kid was inadvertently awarded a raffle prize at a kids' hockey game that was packed with a couple $100 worth of legal marijuana products, including edibles, infused tea, and even a vaporizer. The mix-up happened in British Columbia and is being explained by the Dawson Creek Minor Hockey Association as an accident, as the raffle prizes were all intended for adult winners. Obviously, we don't want 8-year-old kids to get into legal marijuana products without a medical reason, but I do like that this story speaks a bit to the growing normalcy of cannabis in Canada, as it's now perfectly legal to give marijuana products away as raffle prizes. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, Greenworks Consults, and to our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with marijuana today. Today.
One take, Shay. One take.